No. Okay. So how's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. This is the first simultaneous live stream that I've done, and it's exciting. I'm probably gonna make some mistakes, and it'll probably get better over time as I figure out more details. But today I'm gonna tell you about the great tale of Hodlonaut, the the reason why there's space kitties all over crypto Twitter. So you might be wondering what is going on in crypto Twitter, and I'm here to tell you. Here to tell you the story. I've got a full lineup of tweets and sources which you can verify yourself, and I'll put a link below this video so that you can, before this, my link on Twitter where you can actually follow everything that's going on. So I'm just checking a couple of last things here. Make sure that everything's more or less working. And let's see if we got audio. Yeah, we got audio. Okay, great. All right, so let's get into it. You might have noticed that there's space kitties all over crypto Twitter right now, and it's pretty chaotic. There's a lot of attention coming in. If you haven't noticed, you're not paying attention, and if you are paying attention and wondering what is going on, well, I'm here to tell you what's going on. It's one of those events in crypto that happen every once in a while. It's crypto drama. It's one of the reasons people come to crypto and they stay. They come for the money, they stay for the memes. And this is officially a historical moment in crypto. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Now, before we get into it, who am I? Why should you listen to me? My name is Juansgalt. I've been in crypto for a long time, about 5 years. Been doing a lot of media and journalism and activism and education and consulting. And right now I'm offering people 10 free minutes of crypto consulting. That's right, 10 minutes for free of crypto consulting with Juangalt. Just go to juangalt.com and go to consult and click the 10-minute free consultation. If you got any friends that are like on the edge, they want to get in, maybe you're too busy to get them in, send them my way, I'll hook them up. 10 minutes free, and then if you push that button, it'll take you here where you can get 10 minutes free, or you can get any kind of different consulting. I do per hour, and I'll teach people all the basics, industry standards. I'm certified by the C4 Crypto Consortium. I know the way to do Bitcoin, and I can show you the proper way. And you don't wanna miss this next rocket ship to space. You wanna make sure your friends have at least some Bitcoin bags, just a little bit, just have something so they don't miss the ride to the moon. So um, if you're interested, I can help you 10 minutes for free consulting, and no, you can decide how to go from there. All right, so you might be seeing space crypto kitties all over the place, right? Obviously, this crypto kitty has this Bitcoin kitty has gone to space and is getting ready for blast off, and they're everywhere, all over Twitter. Look at this guy, Hodlonaut, BitGuy. Everybody's got a um, Hodlonaut profile picture, and it's if you don't know what's going on, it's got to be really strange and one of those things that make Bitcoin and in crypto very unique place to be in. So it turns out that this guy called Hodlonaut, or this account on Twitter called Hodlonaut, started something called the Lightning Torch, or Lightning Trust Chain. It eventually became the new hashtag. And as you can see right here, he started sending people, offering people to, you know, receive 100 satoshis through the Lightning Network, and if they accepted it, they could pass it on to somebody else. And it was a way to promote the Lightning Network. So you would pass, a small amount of satoshis from person to person, and this became a global movement with 56 countries being sort of, participating in this. About 300 people passed the torch forward in about 83 days, as reported by Bitcoin Magazine, and now it's in the care of BTC Van, Bitcoin Venezuela, who is of course a sort of Venezuela Bitcoin advocacy group and education group, etc. And so that was all great and happy. Everybody loved it. There's a game where you can catch the Hodlonaut and find the Hodlonaut. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening around Lightning Torch. Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, had the torch for a moment. A lot of high profile people have held that. It's been a great event for marketing for Lightning Network and Bitcoin, and everything was happening hunky dory until Darth Calvin and Darth Craig Wright showed up and started polishing their muskets. And apparently, they have started to launch defamation lawsuits against, or at least defamation lawsuit threats against a variety of crypto Twitter sort of personalities that have been calling them out or accusing them of various nefarious things, right? And we're going to get into that. But this is why there's Hodlonauts everywhere. Turns out that our Lightning Torch creator Hodlonaut has been accusing Calvin Ayre, fake Satoshi's vision of Satoshi, Bitcoin, PSSV, whale, and one of the top promoters of this altcoin, accusing them of being kind of a creepy dude. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which we'll sort of touch on. This is just doing some reporting here. And Calvin Ayre hit back with a defamation sort of cease and desist letter, so to speak. And all hell broke loose in crypto Twitter. Because, well, there seems to be some truth to the accusations, and people are not just gonna kind of sort of fold to these threats. There's also been a lot of accusations of Craig Wright being fake Satoshi or being a scam artist or a fraudster, and well, I mean, there's a lot of backstory to that. If you're not aware of it, I'm gonna go over it very sort of quickly, but Craig Calvin Ayre and Craig Wright are now suing people for accusing them of being fraudsters and among other things, right? And they sent a letter to Hodlonaut, and the result was that Hodlonaut deleted his Twitter account. So this has been a kind of huge event. Like it's shaken up crypto Twitter, and this is why you're seeing Hodlonauts everywhere. Now, just a little bit of backstory as to the claims, right? The claims that Craig Wright, this guy that claims to be Satoshi Nakamoto, that he's a fraudster, that he's a scammer. This is from WikiLeaks, right? Which of course is in the public eye today. Just gonna read the tweet. Serial fabricator who claims to be inventor of Bitcoin, Craig S. Wright, now claims that Bitcoin was always pro-state and that he always worked for the prosecution as he tries to raise money for his business, etc., escape court action. This guy's got multiple lawsuits after him, and there's a long saga of strange fabrications and forgery that seems to follow Craig Wright, and I'm reporting on this from sources, so you will go and be your own judge of what's actually happening. Here's another tweet by WikiLeaks. Craig Wright is a proven serial forger of documents claiming that he is the inventor of Bitcoin. He has repeatedly been caught, and this has been independently verified by WikiLeaks at the time of his first claim and subsequently. So there's a full. This has been happening for 3 years more or less, and Craig Wright's trying to position himself as Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, if you're wondering, looking for any source where everything, some sort of article, some sort of credible source of all the problematic sort of events that have followed Craig Wright. If you go to Bitcoin IT/wiki Craig Wright, if you just Google Bitcoin IT and Craig Wright, you'll find this website, which is one of the most sort of credible and popular Bitcoin Wikipedias. Wikipedias. It became 14 there for a second. Okay, I'm back. And well, it has great sources, right? So Wright claimed PGP key was probably backdated. There's sources here and explanations to what that means. Craig Wright was paid millions of dollars by Entrust, the company that you might have heard of, to reveal himself as Satoshi. And this is for those that believe that he lacks a motive to pretend to be Satoshi. Craig Wright, of course, claims to have hundreds of patents on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency related things. So this is a legal threat, a realistic legal threat to the whole of the crypto industry. How realistic it is, he'll have to prove prior art, and there's a lot of, he'll have to prove that he's Satoshi Nakamoto, and that is not an easy feat since he has failed multiple times. And all those times are documented here quite well with sources, primary sources to a lot of the documents, right? So many sources anyway, and I'm sure there's other sources out there, including a BBC article that's still up, I believe. I haven't checked recently, but it was up a few months ago when I checked, where the BBC kind of gave him clout. And anyway, it's a long story. I've talked about it before. Here's an article by a journalist that was following the story closely, and this is where they claim that Craig Wright is being paid to pretend to be Satoshi Nakamoto. So it turns out that Craig Wright had a lot of companies in Australia. The guy's an Australian guy. Had the Australian tax organization after him, checking for tax fraud and stuff. And then about a lot of his companies were in debt, right? And so as part of the deal, according to this story, which you can find the link here, right? Craig Wright made a deal with a couple of Canadian entrepreneurs where they would buy his debt and buy out this balance that he'd been stacking against on Bitcoin. And in exchange, Craig Wright would, reveal himself as Satoshi Nakamoto. So here's the quote. I'll just read it. The deal had the following components: clear the outstanding debts that were preventing Wright's business from getting back on its feet, and work with the new lawyers on getting the agreements in place for the transfer of any non-corporate intellectual property. That's intellectual property or patents made on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, presumably, and work with the lawyers to get Craig's story rights. So I think the idea here is to become like the rights, like if people believe that if the courts believe that he is Satoshi Nakamoto, then he gets the rights, the legal rights that Satoshi would have, as well as the costs and the risks, right, of being, accused of who knows what for, everything that's come from Bitcoin, everything that's happened since the creation of Bitcoin. From this point on, the Satoshi revelation would be part of the deal. Quote, it was the cornerstone of the commercialization plan, Matthew said. Matthew was one of the Canadian entrepreneurs, with about 10 million sunk into the Australian debts and setting up in London. So this is the motive, ladies and gentlemen. This is the behind the scenes business plan that fuels Craig Wright and why he is arguably so relentless in his pretense of being Satoshi Nakamoto, despite having failed to prove it cryptographically multiple times. And you can go and look at the sources and judge for yourself. Now, this happened. This happened before the Bitcoin fork in 2017, and obviously they failed to convince the Bitcoin community. And as a result, they ended up forking to Bitcoin Cash, and eventually they forked from Bitcoin Cash as well. Now, somewhere in between that, the plan, according to this article, was never to actually run this operation, to run a Bitcoin sort of research lab and a company or multinational corporation that held rights to cryptocurrency stuff. They were never planned to run it. They wanted to sell that off to somebody else. And here's where Calvin Ayre comes in. Turns out that Nchain's holdings were sold to a company called a Malta-based high-tech private equity fund called CCAV. Um, they bought Nchain Holdings, and that's basically apparently a lot of the patents and the intellectual property that Craig Wright claims to have over Bitcoin, right? And so you can find the story here in the Independent. Bitcoin founder sells patent firm for $300 million. And I reached out to the journalist that wrote this story to try to clarify what the source of this $300 million sale was. And what he says was somebody close to the deal said this, and they would only say that $300 million had been invested, not that it was sold for that. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but nonetheless, this is a big money deal, and it does appear that there was a transfer of Nchain Holdings to this Malta-based organization. Now, I found this tweet a while back. Oh, where'd it go? Hang on a second. It's an important image missing. Give me a moment. All right. Okay, so here's an important piece of the puzzle. This is a map that I found a while back during the crypto wars, and this was the Bcash crypto wars. And this is Calvin Ayre, who we're not. I don't have a direct link, so I have no clear source to suggest that Calvin Ayre owns this private equity fund or is part owner of it. But it does seem there's a lot of contextual evidence, right? So obviously Calvin Ayre is very sort of invested in Bitcoin SV. He owns CoinGeek, which is basically the PR arm of Bitcoin SV. And as we talked earlier, they now own Endchain, which basically owns Craig Wright's intellectual property, and thus Craig Wright's sort of motivation for pushing things forward. They bought the debt of all his companies, etc., and paid him off and paid it out so that he could continue to operate. And they're probably helping him with the tax case, etc. And so this guy's behind CoinGeek and a bunch of other sort of BSV related companies, etc. And so it seems very, very likely that Calvin Ayre is related to this high-tech private equity fund. However, I haven't found a undeniable source of this. But clearly, I'm not the first to reach this conclusion. I found this on Reddit months ago. So we have some argument as to why Calvin Ayre cares about all of this. He's heavily invested in Craig Wright's sort of pretense as Satoshi Nakamoto, and obviously he pumps it like no other. Craig is Satoshi, founder of Ayre Group and CoinGeek.com, SV, Satoshi's Vision, etc., etc. So they're running this sort of patent troll scam. Really, is what it arguably is, given that. And it's a scam because Craig Wright has failed to prove that he's Satoshi Nakamoto, and this is going to be resolved in the courts. But I'm just reporting the facts. You be the judge, and well, this is where we're at. So now Craig Wright and Calvin Ayre are sending lawsuits or threats of defamation to people in order to defend that claim that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. And just to give you a little taste of this Calvin character, right? This guy is allegedly a billionaire in the gambling industry, at least was recently. There's some Panama Papers sort of scandals that followed that not too long ago, a couple of years ago or so, and that this guy reads when Assange gets assaulted. What a scum! When Assange gets arrested, he says, "Crazy old coot. WikiLeaks is one of the trolls in our sites. So happy to see this." Obviously, WikiLeaks called them out for their forgery and fake documents. WikiLeaks is a good idea done by bad people, says this guy. Can you believe that, right? You're an idiot, Sandwich. I mean, the memes are glorious. If you're into memes, you can really enjoy following this saga. And but anyway, so that's what's going on here. Now, if you're wondering why people are calling Calvin Ayre a creep, this is one of the source images. So here's Calvin Ayre, and I'm just reporting these facts, people. This is journalism. If anybody's wondering what I'm doing here, this is journalism. So here's, Calvin Ayre to your lawyers. This is definitely journalism. So here's one of the pictures that's being referred to in this drama, and obviously these girls, I mean, their age is certainly questionable. I mean, this girl looks really young, this girl is questionably young. I understand that there's some women that look younger than they actually are. These girls are obviously post-pubescent or probably post-pubescent. I mean, they're definitely like, well, anyway, they look pretty young. So this is why, and this is not the only photos. There's other photos, but this is why people are calling him a creep and many other things that he's very pissed off about, and this has to do with the defamation lawsuits, right? And so I guess our friend Hodlonaut was also claiming this on Twitter and accusing me of this on Twitter, and that's why he got attacked and all hell broke loose. He left crypto Twitter, sadly deleted his account, and I'm going to show you some of what happened afterwards. Here's the last tweet that I could find on a web archive of Hodlonaut, just to give you a sense of who Hodlonaut is. He's the guy that created this image. UESF, not 2X. He was there during the Bitcoin fork war, and obviously on the winning side. And he says, "Hodling, always looking to learn, speaking my mind, rated as automated spam account by Twitter." And one of the last things he did was trying to get some Bitcoiner in Palestine to take the lightning torch from Tel Aviv. So Tel Aviv Bitcoin Embassy says, "We would love to make a connection with Palestine Bitcoiners. Please help." And then Hodlonaut retweeted that and said, "The lightning trust chain torch wants to go from Tel Aviv to Palestine. If you're Palestine, throw Bitcoin Embassy an invoice for 3.5 million Satoshis." So he was trying to bring to help connect this area of the world that's in high conflict and obviously one of the most sort of violent zones of the world right now, and he was trying to sort of bring connection to them. This guy is a good guy. Okay, this guy is a good actor. I think by every sort of thing that I've seen. And well, he got shut down by Calvin Ayre and Craig Wright. So this is why people are really pissed off. And obviously, here's Calvin Ayre saying that they're polishing their muskets and troll hunting. This is their legal team, whoever the legal team they hired. Adam Back responds saying, "Does that mean that you're going to suppress comments from the larger ecosystem serving the fellow standing next to you, has published fake proofs and falsified digital signatures, existential forgeries, and is subject to at least 2 court cases for alleged document forgery and tax fraud. Hashtag Stricer effect. Everybody's gonna know that Craig Wright is a fraudster now. If you're into some memes, man, just go down this one. It's great. There's a lot of really good memes. Here's polishing muskets. Wow, that's pretty funny. It's amazing gif, etc. etc. And anyway, so that's one of the responses. And then this guy who's Peter McCorman, who's a podcaster of What Bitcoin Did, he as a response to the article CoinGeek published about suing Hodlonaut. He says, I can confirm that I am behind the. Oh yeah, they put a $5,000 bounty on Hodlonaut to try to get his legal identity and publish this picture with the tattoos, which it's really unfortunate because that puts him in danger. And it says, I can confirm I am behind the account of Hodlonaut. What next, Calvin Air? Do we go to court? This is so exciting. And then below goes Francis Polotti, a Canadian entrepreneur that's very, very popular, very well known in crypto Twitter. He says, thanks for trying to take the hit from me, Peter McCorman, but I need to take this journey on my own. I am Hodlonaut. Sue me. And then Crypto Graffiti, no, I am Hodlonaut, right? I'm Hodlonaut. I'm Hodlonaut, etc. I'm Hodlonaut. So this is how it all began. And well, not long after, Z said, I'm not actually sure what his name is. Z said, I can't remember right now. Anyway, reacts to this legal threats, saying Craig Wright is not Satoshi anymore. This shit, and we the list. So this is where things are going now. This conflict is definitely escalating, and there's now a hashtag called hashtag the list BSV, which is being pushed, and hopefully some of this. Well, I would like to hope because I've no bias here, but I would like to see some of the listing happening of BSV, but we'll see what happens. And we'll get to that in a moment. But here's Peter Corman. He actually got a cease and desist sort of letter, or a legal sort of, I don't even know what to call this letter, right? It's kind of an intimidation letter saying that he should, take back his comments, make an apology, or he's going to be sued for defamation in the UK courts. So Peter McCormack says, sorry for butchering your name, Peter. So I got the letter from Craig Wright and Kelvin Ayre. This is what they're sending out to people. Now you can all see. I absolutely reject the requirements. P.S. I don't recommend anyone else does this. Then it says, I believe that claiming to be Satoshi and promoting fake version of Bitcoin is fraudulent. I believe this is the public interest. Let's go to court. So this is very brave, and I'm really grateful for Peter for doing this. Somebody had to do it, and it seems like he is ready to do it. And he also says, before any claims of virtue, singularity, or clout, I'm doing this because it is the right thing to do. I've lost everything before, and I'll lose it again. So what? BSV is a fake Bitcoin run by frauds. Fuck them. And then here's a picture of his response to the email sent. Hey, I've read this nonsense and the nonsense in this, and I reject every single one of your requirements from you and fake Satoshi. Please proceed with court proceedings. I can't wait, Peter. So also the signature was pretty funny. Look at the signature on this thing. Let's see. Look at the signature. That's the signature from the legal firm. That's pretty bad. I mean, I don't have the best handwriting, but that's pretty rough. All right, and so multiple lawyers have sort of risen to the challenge, and Crypto Sarah says this is shocking. Crypto Sarah 2, this is shocking. Reach out if you or anyone else involved in this case need legal advice. No charge. My service to the crypto Twitter community. She's a trader, lawyer, triathlete, and immortal so far. Plan Bitcoin. Also, Preston Brown, who's a lawyer, has apparently is now defending Hodlonaut, and they have a website called We Are Hodlonaut, where people are raising money. The crypto community is raising money for Hodlonaut to help in his legal defense fund. They've already raised $20,000, over 100% of the fund, the goal already. So that's fantastic. And well, I mean, you can have a look at this and support them if you have a few satoshis to throw his way. Also, Matt Corallo, one of the top Bitcoin Core developers, tweets, I don't know how British libel suit works, but if anyone needs expert witness to stating unequivocally under oath that Craig is a fraud, I always fancy a trip across the pond, and I'll help organize others. CC Prescott Bryan and Peter McCormack. So it looks like we're headed Like if Calvin Ayre and Craig Wright are gonna push are gonna bite as much as they're barking, then we're in for a legal battle that's going to be quite epic, and it could really I mean, it could be the end of Craig Wright if this is fought properly and as seriously as it should. We shouldn't underestimate Craig Wright, of course. Oh yeah, here's Fluffy Pony. I missed it. Sorry, Mr. Monero, but here's Fluffy Pony saying, "Oh yeah, hey Calvin Ayre, is it possible to get a 4-for-1 deal on those lawsuits so that the whole Magical Crypto team can get sued together? That way we can sync up our lawsuit timing. Well, Panda Satoshi Light Excellion." And then Craig, oh man, this guy, he's really a bold-faced liar. Or he's drank the Kool-Aid deep from the Kool-Aid, Craig Wright. So anyway, so he believes, man. He's a true believer, or he's just chilling it. He's just committed to the chill. So yeah, that's where we're at. Oh yeah, that's a quote from Craig Wright. Jesus Christ. Now, here's the thing, like, we shouldn't assume that this is going to be smooth sailing, right? I mean, the UK apparently allegedly does have some tricky libel laws, and it's not arbitrary to dismiss such a thing. So here's Well Panda saying, this is from a letter from Peter McCormack received. That's crazy. One thing I will note though, that it's way more difficult to get these things dismissed in UK rather than US, which is obviously the reason they're doing it there. And the image says falsify. Our client has not fraudulently claimed, oh yeah, that he's Satoshi Nakamoto. He is Satoshi Nakamoto. So they're claiming that Greg Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto, and now they're gonna have to prove that in court, because that's gonna be the critical, the fundamental sort of argument, the truth claim that's going to be debated in that courtroom, if we do get there, is whether or not Craig Wright is Satoshi. Because if he is, then yeah, people claiming that he's not are a form of defamation, but he's not, by all evidence so far. And so they're gonna have to prove this, and it's gonna be powerful, and then there's a lot of money at stake on all sides. So this is gonna be an epic legal case if that's where we are going. Um, etc. It just claims that he's Satoshi Nakamoto. So A Pompiliano, who's crypto Twitter star, says every exchange should delist BSV simultaneously on May 1st in a sign of solidarity to behind the only Bitcoin that ever mattered. The community is the responsibility of the people. Sometimes we must do the hard thing, not because it's easy, but because it is right. Hashtag delist BSV. So remember back to CT, Sir Binance. Let's see if I can find them real quick. Anyway, I don't know where he is. Oh, here it is. So, sir, the CEO of Binance tweeted this out, the least BSV. Well, now there's the list BSV campaign, hashtag the list BSV, trying to get Satoshi's Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, which is Craig Wright's coin, Calvin Ayre's coin, which is, by the way, very centralized. They're trying to get it delisted from exchanges. Also, somebody was pointing out that you can do a 51% attack on BSV for about $7,000. That's fun. Um, that's probably gonna happen. Anyway, and here's just something else. Craig Wright's facing $10 billion lawsuit over stolen Bitcoin. That's a different rabbit hole for another time. But there you have it, folks. That is what's going on with Hodlonaut. Let's see. I'm gonna check comments real quick, see if anybody's actually watching this. Let's see what people think. See if I have any comments going on here. I have 4 viewers. All right. It's something. Hopefully I'll get a few more later on. Mike Derishan. All right. So that's it. That's the tale of Hodlonaut. Hashtag we are all Hodlonaut. And I think I'll leave it at that. Thanks everybody for watching. Let me know what you think. If you have any feedback, any tips on how to make this better, any specific things that I could try to make better, even if you don't know exactly how to do that, I would like to hear it. Please, yeah, please let me know what you think about this. Do you like this? Do you like this sort of simultaneous live stream idea? Let me know, because if you do, I'm gonna keep making them. And yeah, as I said, I'm giving people free 10-minute consultations. So reach out to me. I want to help people get into crypto. I want to teach them. There's obviously a big learning curve here in crypto, and I really believe I can help people, fast track through this learning curve. So reach out to me, set up a 10-minute consultation, or send your friends my way, and I'll take very good care of them. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. You all have an awesome day, and let's all be Hodlonaut.